Our podcast is a part of the World Podcast Network, now with over 1,000 podcasts. Visit the World Podcast Network at worldpodcast.network to listen to podcasts in over 12 genres. Come vote our podcast episodes up and help us rise on the leaderboard. If you have a podcast of your own, you can join for free. Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Danica, and today we are going to be discussing the first part of the Toe Tell-All. Yay! Honestly, I feel like the Tell-All as a whole was better than the season itself, which isn't saying a whole lot. But I mean, honestly, Sarper delivered, so at least there's that. Anyways, before we get into the episode, again, we're just going to go through some stuff in the beginning, the big announcement that's kind of going right now, and then we'll kind of do some hot goss that I do have that I've been holding on to that I keep forgetting to talk about. Anyway, so again, yes, announcement. Podcast is going to be on a break from December 11th until January 15th. But don't you worry, during that time, you are going to still hear from me. There's going to be episodes coming out during that time. And yeah, the full description in terms of the schedule is you can either listen to the complete announcement on that on the Toe episode for 500 Days of Bummer, which would have been now a few weeks back, as well as you can go to socials, and the announcements are there on every social media, except the only difference is Facebook and Twitter, it's pinned, so you can see that more easily, but we'll just kind of go through the shows that you can expect to hear about during that time. But again, the schedule, you can get that on another of the other episode or on socials. So that is, we're going to be talking Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Love Off the Grid, Owning Manhattan, Married at First Sight, as long as I think it's good. If not, we'll put something else in its place. What else? Off the top of my head that I can think of. It's kind of what I can remember right now. And there's going to be still the bonus episodes from Next Take. Is going to be one for Christmas, and then one in January as well. You're going to get a little earlier than normal, but that's what we're going to be doing. Again, complete schedule for that is on that episode or on social. Moving on to some hot goss. All right, so the first piece. I think we only have two for this episode, so the first piece. So during a recent visit on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, Captain Glenn explained that he is still close with Colin, and while he's not sure about the future, he wouldn't write him off of below deck sailing. Not yet anyways. He said, quote, "I was just with him, and I would love to have him back. I think there's a chance he could come back for sure." And yeah, he shared those with Andy. So, I mean, there's still hope that maybe one day we'll have Colin back. Like, I like Davide, but obviously the three, but obviously with the drama between the three, like the three being Daisy, Gary, Colin, is, yeah, mainly Daisy and him. So, I don't know, but who knows? We'll see. Anyway, next piece and last piece of August. So, Blake has apparently popped the question to Giannina, that was her name, right? Giannina? On October 30th during a sunset proposal in Park del Retiro in Madrid, Spain. Blake presented her with a 4.87 carat oval lab-grown diamond ring by Brilliant Earth. The stunning piece also features an 18 karat yellow gold luxe Versailles, I think, shank detailed with small diamonds. I should have pictures of that. I have a few pictures from the proposal, so I'll be posting all of that. Anyway, quote, I have been looking for the perfect ring for over a year. I had an idea of what she wanted, cut, clarity, etc., but I didn't want to go and pick out a ring with her. I really wanted the ring to be a complete surprise. She was thrilled by the surprise proposal, saying she actually said yes before I could open the box to show her the ring. When she did finally see the ring, she was breathless and so happy. So that felt really amazing. We were over the moon and we can't wait to be married in front of our loved ones. Giannina described the engagement as the best feeling in the world, saying, quote, on what our love story has been everything I've always dreamt it would be and more. As soon as I met Blake, I knew he was my soulmate and I knew the universe was always leading me to him. Being together forever and creating our family is literally the joy of my life. All right, well, that's basically that. That's it for Hot Goss. So, yeah, let's head into the reason that we're here, and that is Toe Season 6, Episode 21, Tell All, Part 1. So Tata is back in the States. We'll get more on that in a minute. So he says that I'm not naked or and alone. And I said, great to know that you're not naked, because I didn't ask, but you offered. So here we are. He said that things are not great with them, though. So yeah. Joanne says she's picking up on people's emotions, y'all, because if you forgot, she's a psychic. Because I definitely forgot she's a psychic, but she's a psychic. She has her crystals to protect her. James comes in and he's like, we love to share things with our families, don't we? And I'm just like, okay, that's funny. You can laugh at yourself because Jesus. But yeah, we need to do better. Anyway, she is like, your aura is actually really calm. And she's like, but I'm feeling something. I'm feeling something that's like, if something's going on, it's because he has grounding crystals. And she's like, oh yeah, I felt that. And I said, okay, great. Then he leaves because he has a surprise for everybody. And honestly, Tata's a surprise, so whatever. So then in walks Shaun. I think she said she's gonna go and get the surprise she was gonna do, not James. And Tata does come and they're like, oh wow. But yes, no, Joanne's the one that leaves because she has a surprise and then she comes back in with Shaun. And I said, girl, you understood the assignment because he is a surprise. And that's a surprise I would love to get, is Shaun just walking in. He's a gorgeous man. Anyway, but yes, he's here in the States. And then that's when Tata walks in, and I already talked about that. And then Corona walks in, and she is not going to be soft pardoning anyone, y'all, just in case you needed to know. And I said, again, a thing you coined. No one asked whether or not you're going to be soft partnering anyone. No one said you should have been soft partnering Inky to begin with. Anyway, so Sarper is here in the States. As I think we all know this. It's not a surprise. Anyway, he said that he never thought that he would be here. Obviously, he didn't have any desire to live in the States. He's like, if I knew that I was going to be here, or someone told me I was going to be here, I would be laughing with his ass. Laughing with his ass, y'all. That's what he said he would be doing. Corona says that Inky never or lied about loving her, which, I mean, I don't know. We'll never really know, and we'll get into it, obviously. I think for those people who watched the episodes already know how this is going to go. Shaun is, however, ready to throw hands in Inky's direction, and I said, please do it, because I would love to see it. God, he's hot. I mean, yep. Then Shekinah and Sarper walk in, and everyone's like, oh my God, he's here. And he says that he just blurts out that her engagement ring costs $3,500. You don't tell her how much it costs. And someone like Shekinah is not going to be thrilled that the ring only costs $3,500. Anyway. Sarper says that Corona is so noisy, reactive, annoying. They do give tips to people at the tell because, again, they're the only returning people in this group who have done this before, so they give some tips on how to do this. And Sarper says, when we are together in a society, you have to be like a fist. And I don't know what that means, but I loved it anyways. Then Shekinah starts eating a stick of fucking butter. Just out of nowhere, just starts eating a stick of butter. And I'm just like, what is happening? Nothing to gross me out more. And nothing grossed me out more to have to rewatch these episodes to do the notes for them and have to watch it again. It was disgusting. But Trish, of Mike and Trish, Mike's mom, would be thrilled. Because if you remember, Trish tells us that butter is brain food. So they should be really smart. Really, really smart then, according to Trish. Anyway, Corona walks in and so this is when we're walking into the set now for the tell-all. She walks into the set and she just sticks her middle finger up at Inky. Don't know if he saw it. He didn't react. Anyways, then here comes Shaun looking incredible as always. And the instant eye roll from Corona with respect to Inky is incredible. Oh yeah, in case we forgot, because I keep forgetting that they were on this season while watching the tell-all, Statler and Dempsey will not be here because Statler pissed off TLC / Matt Sharp, and yeah. So that's why they will not be here. Although the story said on the tell-all is they broke up. So did Corona and Inky, but anyways. So Josh says that things have been improving between him and Lily. And Lily's like, no, that's incorrect. And says that I believe she rated their relationship a 3. And then he's like, yeah, overall, we've had a rough relationship. Yeah, you don't say. All of a sudden now it's a rough relationship, even though 2 seconds ago you said it's been improving, which it hasn't. But anyway, Corona went back to school. Good for her. That's where she needed to go. Is where she just needs to be. Shaun is like, Inky's just laughing like the piece of shit that he is. And I leaned in and I said, tell me more, Shaun. Tell me more. Because God, you're hot when you are mad. Seriously. He's so hot. Okay. He says that you're a scumbag. Inky says, no, I'm not. And he's like, or she says, you really are, actually. And Inky's like, what the fuck? Now here's the thing. We are going to see how much, I wouldn't even say so much of a scumbag or a dirtbag or a piece of shit, inexperienced. He has no clue how a relationship works, while the woman he was with is acting somewhat, anyways, as a 30-year-old and approaches relationships in such a way. he's still acting as if he's a teenager or in his 20s when we're kind of past this. He may be mature emotionally in other ways, but when it comes to a relationship, he really isn't. He's it's a new thing for him. So I think unfortunately because of that he moves very differently, but again, some of the choices that he makes, we'll talk about later, is just very problematic. So let's talk Shekinah and Sarper first. So he said that he didn't really have a motive. I think that's what he said. He didn't really have a motive. He's like, or no, sorry, she says that in terms of proposing to her. She said, I didn't realize that he had a motive. I figured he has proposed because he, I don't know, loves me. And he said that he tried to convince her, yes, but it didn't work, y'all, because at the end of the day, he realizes what she wants makes his life easier. So, he says that she would have been unhappy, in Turkey, and she couldn't adapt. And you don't actually really think about it, but she says, like, I couldn't speak the language. There's certain things that she couldn't do. Because then again, in the day, Turkey is a Muslim country. So maybe there's just certain things she wasn't able to do. I don't know. I would think Turkey is maybe one of the more liberal countries, but maybe I'm wrong. And she just said, like, she wouldn't have really adapted. Whereas he speaks English and he can adapt more. And honestly, he fits right into Los Angeles. So it's, I think, like, it makes the most sense. And Shaun says, like, do you feel like an American? He's like, nope. And I said, that's maybe for the best under the circumstances. We're gonna leave it there. He's like, it's only been a week for him though. They've only been back for a week. So he's obviously still adjusting. He said he proposed because they have to be together. And if she couldn't stay in Turkey, well, then he was going to marry her in order to be with her. He's like, plus, I can't live a priest life. Okay? Because when he was told that he may not be able to have sex for like 6 weeks, he had an aneurysm. And so yeah. And he's says that she's also very controlling, territorial. We see a lot of that throughout this tell-all. I mean, we've seen a lot before, but we see a massive amount of controlling behavior from her in this. And he says, like, with me, she's like in the orbit. Or sorry, he says with her, he has to kind of stay in this orbit with her. And she says that apparently when he landed, he says, ladies, lock your girls up or whatever, or close the something. I don't even know. But he said, I was joking. And she says, okay, maybe, I think I would agree with her on this. There's always some truth in a joke. And that's what she says, that there has to be some level of a truth in a joke. And maybe that is how you really feel. Whether or not he would actually do anything, I don't think he would. But yeah. He's like, let me satisfy myself with jokes. Like, that's one way to put it. He says, if I cannot throw it from my dick, and he does the motion by his dick, I will with my mouth. And I still don't know if that is an any better analogy than watching him throw it from his dick. But anyways, so James is like, yeah, you know what? I get that. She hates my humor, Tata does. So, if you just don't want to hear my humor, just empty my balls. And she doesn't have to deal with it. And I said, I did not put on my bingo card, empty thy balls. Didn't know that was going to be a thing I was going to hear today. Empty my balls. gross, first of all. Secondly, I think you should kind of throw this out here. I think Corona did too. It is not up to a woman to empty your balls, sir. If she does not want to empty thy balls, then you can do so yourself. Thank you to my welcome. And that's the end of my TED Talk. Like, what the fuck? Empty. Okay, I'm going to stop saying it, guys. Okay. He says that he hasn't been outside, not because he's locked up in a prison, although maybe he probably is, but he's only been there for a week. So, um, he says that he feels like he can't because he's a prisoner. He feels like a prisoner in his own home, I guess. And he doesn't want to share his location with her. And that's kind of maybe her, maybe requirement is for him to share location. He's like, she will not be able to hold his phone. Like, he doesn't want to go there with her. He doesn't want her to go through his DIMs. She's like, what if I have porno in my chats? And she's like, do you? Do you have porno in your chats? And he's like, no. It's like, guys chat. Like, sometimes a guy might send a picture of a girl's boobs and they'll ask, like, what would you do with her nipples? He might say suck, bite, whatever. And I'm like, wait, do you guys do this? Do you guys really do this? Because I have questions. I not so much about the fact, like, she kind of like, I don't want to know about you, talking about what you do with another woman. That's not even so much my problem. I mean, that's a problem, but that's not so much my problem. My problem is, so men really talk like cavemen. Is what's happening here. Like, this is what you do. You're not even so much talking about, oh, I met this girl last night. You're sharing tips, powwowing around this picture. That's so weird. So she kind of is like, are you talking? He's like, no. But the fact that you gave this example means this happened. And your answer, I mean, how many answers are there really? Suck, bite, or titty fuck, or motorboat. There's not really many options for boobs, but it's just like, this clearly happened, and it's a little weird. He's like, no, I'm just laughing. That's all I'm doing. Okay. He said, I just want trust. He's like, I won't cheat on her. If I do want to do that, I'll break up with her and then go cheat. And then everything is going to be fine. We then bring up her friend Josh, bringing her friend into this. We met him very briefly last season with them and this season in the beginning, because again, that was a million years ago and I completely forgot about this. He says he has concerns. The jealousy on both parts is a problem. And he says, she does have male acquaintances and like, is that going to be a problem? And he's like, maybe if it's just an acquaintance, it's fine. But do you notice with her, she's like, oh no, he doesn't need female acquaintances. We'll get to that because he says it. And they're like, well, what about Josh? And she kind of like, well, he likes to have sex with boys, so that's not going to be a problem. But yeah, she kind of does not want him having any female acquaintances, much less. She's like, oh, that's cute. That was her response. That's cute. He doesn't need female acquaintances. What do you mean? So, Tata says that she is the same way. She agrees. We'll get more on that a little later. So y'all, I don't know what y'all did. I don't know how you found her, but we have one of the 2,500 here now, and her name is Dee Dee. And he responds back with, oh my God, she's a therapist. More on that later. They met about 3 years ago. And they're like, well, how do you know him? Well, I think we can like put two and two together and realize how they know each other since she's one of the 2,500. So she's like, oh, we're friends. And she says, "Oh, he doesn't have female friends, honey. So, like, you're not friends." And they met in a dating app, the same dating app where he met Shekinah. Shekinah takes offense to this, and I'm like, but, so? I mean, I met a lot of guys that I've been involved with on one particular dating app. So, like, you're not special in that sense. Like, come on. Um, so they drank. He probably had the bottle for the longest time. Um, and yeah, I mean, they had fun, she says. And I'm like, okay. The last time that they spoke was November of last year. I think this was filmed, the tell-all. I didn't get a lot of details as to when the filming of this tell-all was done, but we started hearing things about the tell-all in terms of like Statler and Dempsey were going to be on, but a couple months ago. So I'm going to assume this was November of 2023. Um, so she knew about Shekinah. She said, "Oh yeah, like I kind of said like we could like hang out or whatever," which is weird. Like I do have to agree with Shekinah on that. That's weird. Why would you want to hang out with a guy and his girlfriend for whom you had sex with? And as the girlfriend or significant other, I would not want to hang out with someone for whom you had sex with. I don't care to do that. So that's weird on her part. So, but he kind of said, no, we can't do that. She's very possessive and unpredictable. And she kind of like, excuse me? I'm unpredictable? I wouldn't necessarily use the word unpredictable. She's pretty predictable, but possessive, sure. She feels like he will, or sorry, the Dee Dee says she feels like Sarper would never cheat on Shekinah. And again, I did agree with Shekinah on this as well, because Shekinah is like, well, how do you know? Because first of all, you were never in an actual relationship with him. You just fucked him once. And you're not ever in a situation like that with him. This is a guy who has had sex with 2,500 women. He clearly has commitment issues. So how do you know that he's not going to cheat? Like, where are you gathering that information? Is this your professional opinion, which I have questions, or like, it's just, yeah. Anyway, Shaun asks, Sarper, like, is he scared of Shekinah? And he says the possessiveness is kind of the issue for him. I don't think he's necessarily afraid of her, but he's like, I can't have friends. Um, or sure, or no, sorry, I'm incorrect. Shaun asks Dee Dee if she thinks Harper is scared of Shekinah. And she says, like, he can't have any friends. I don't see him cheating. She said that again. And she kind of says, well, based on what? And I want to know that too. She never does answer the question. And she kind of says, you know what? I'm going to go. Let me know when it's off the screen. Which I didn't quite like that because it made me think that she was attacking how she looks. Which that's not necessary. At all. At all. But she kind of said, I can't look at whatever that is anymore. That's what she said, which was really mean. And he says that they had maybe 3 different convos in life. And she's like, excuse me? She says, we talk a lot. And then she brings out the receipts, brings out her phone, and just starts scrolling forever on this phone. They may have only had 3 conversations, but they were 3 long ass conversations. But even if it was 3 conversations, it doesn't make sense for how much this girl was scrolling. She was scrolling a lot, man. Let me tell you. So she's like, there's about 8 plus threads. So that kind of goes to show they at least talked maybe 8 different days, maybe. Just but most of it was before their relationship with Shekinah. So that's like, okay, whatever. And then Shaun's like, Shekinah's refusing to leave the dressing room. She doesn't want to come out. Let's take a break. Dee Dee, goodbye. Thanks for coming and representing 2500. And yeah, Josh is, um, oh yeah, you're still here, blah, 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 and whatever. Anyway, Shekinah is like, Sarper should have followed me here. And Corona is the one that goes and checks up on her, which Sarper, I mean, I don't necessarily think he should have left because you're acting like a child. This is exactly what you want him to do. And I don't think he should be feeding it. But he should have gone after and checked on her after they went on the break. Corona should not have been the first one in there. Anyway, and Sarper's basically talking to Josh, and Corona's like, hey, Sarper, hey, you gonna go deal with that? Because, like, your girl is mad, and you're out here talking to Josh. And Shekinah's like, what took you so long? Why did you feel like you had to finish before coming after me? Because that's rude. That's why. And she's like, I left. Why didn't you? You left because you want to know that he is going to chase after you. This is why you did it. You didn't leave because you're really upset, which maybe, yes, I'm not necessarily debating that she's upset with him. I'm not. But you didn't up and walk away because whatever. You up and walked away to basically show the world, more so than anything, Dee Dee, that you're the most important thing in his life, and he's going to no longer waste his time with you. He's going to come after me. You're trying to prove a point. And that's toxic behavior. So he says, like, listen, I was a serious relationship virgin. You took my virginity. Okay? We're in a social setting, which agreed, in a social setting, we have to make others happy. Which I don't necessarily agree with that, but you have to kind of respect other people that are in the room. And she says, the only thing you should be worrying about is making me happy. Anyway, he's like, why are you worrying about her? He didn't say that. He didn't say that he stayed because of Dee Dee. He's staying there because there's other people literally in the room with him that he's trying to respect. He didn't say it was about Dee Dee. You just assumed it's about Dee Dee. And that's why I said her main goal here was to stick it to Dee Dee. And it's not necessary. She had sex with a man one time. Like 3 years ago. Like, it is what it is. And he says, why are you being a bitch? And I said, uh-oh, bitch? Whore? And it's like, don't call me a bitch when I'm upset. And I said, so he can call you a bitch another times. I have no words. I'm not going to say anything. Let's move on. So he says that he does have his limits, which I agree. Everyone has their limits, and he's proving to you time and time again that you're it for him. In his way, you're it for him. And he's like, the old Sarper is right under my skin, and he doesn't want him to come back out. And I think you push a man enough, especially a man like him who has gone through most of his, actually not even most, all of his adult life and part of his teenage years believing that these bitches ain't loyal. So he you have, not saying you have to tiptoe around him or walk on eggshells around him, but don't push him because then you're going to lose him. And I think he is a good guy in his way, and I like him. Oh God, if they broke up, would we get him on Single Life? You know what? Keep it up. Because I would love to see this man date. Okay. So, he said, okay, well, let's go. At least you're beautiful. And she said, don't make me laugh when I'm mad. And he says, I love making you laugh. And I said, oh, that's so sweet. And then he says this, I'm a good guy. I am a cute, but I have to be mute. And I said, I am a good guy. I'm cute, but I'm gonna be mute. It's just, oh God. I mean, I feel like one of the best gifts that the 90-Day Gods ever gave us, that being Matt Sharp and Dan Adler, was Sarper. Like, it was just that and Tiger Lily. So we go back on set, and we're going to be switching gears now and talking Josh and Lily. So Josh, how are things from 1 to 10? He says 6. He says we still have our issues, but we're improving on communication. She rates it a 3, y'all. They argue all the time. She says that they are also not having sex, y'all. And she says he blames me for, everything. And then cue the tears from Josh. Just instantly cue the tears from Josh and how quickly the tears dry up after too. He's like, it's hard that she's not happy. And she says, seeing him cry, I feel nothing. And I said, boom. Yeah, because why? And I think Corona says, I think she feels with the crocodile tears, and they are. He literally is on the level of Robin and Cody. If you all watched the last couple of episodes here of Sister Wives and you see Cody crying, I'm like, oh, nothing. Shaun asks, why are you still holding on? That's an amazing question, Shaun. Josh says that I think we love each other, but we don't express it properly. And James says, that's a little bit delusional maybe because this girl just says she feels nothing about your dears. And he answers, I think that the love might be one-sided, and that's on his part. Everyone thinks that she did love him, but just not now. And Sarper says, you need to fuck her. You know what? He's right. He says that she needs to feel love. And Corona agrees, and she says that she doesn't feel desired by him because, yeah, they've only had sex, 5 times in the years the time they've known each other. That's weird. And she kind of says that you cannot, blame or push the blame, on her or whatever she kind of says. You need to take accountability. So how long has it been since y'all have had sex? Josh says simply a long time, maybe 4 months. That's weird. And everyone's like, who's kind of rejecting who in this situation? He says, when I get put down, I don't want to have sex. And I wrote, okay, Gino. Okay, Gino. All right. I mean, I don't want to go too far into it. We do get more into maybe where he's coming from with this, and I'll save it for that. But Lily wants to have sex every day. I mean, yeah, that would be great. And this is where she says that in the time that they've known each other, they have only had sex 5 times, maybe. That's weird. Corona asks, why are you fighting for this sexless marriage if, what the hell? And she says, I love him. And she says, and as long as we are happy, then I am okay. She would be okay with them having no intimacy if they were just happy. No, that only lasts for so long. You might be in love with somebody, but if you're not having sex or having sex to what you want it to be, it's not going to last. So Sarper, our therapist here, he's like, you're not the provider. You feel like maybe you've lost your ego. The rules have switched. And that could be why maybe there is just no sex happening. And that, yes, can be very true, but then you gotta talk about it. If you need to go get therapy, you need to go do that. You need to do, or at least exhaust every avenue to make sure that you're figuring this out. then we start talking logistics of phone sex and how to do it right. And I just, why am I doing this? Role playing, Sarper says, well, kind of, I'll be John Travolta. Then he does like the hair thing that John Travolta does. And I'm just like, oh, okay. You're the one that I want. Okay. So Shaun, So Shauna asks this question about whether or not partners know about the body count. What's your number, Shekinah? Because we're just poking the bear. And Sarper kind of gives her the eye and is like, dare. And he kind of whispers and says, don't answer. Don't answer. Because he doesn't want to know, as we know. And that's just why I said they're poking the bear, because they know they're doing it because of him. And they're like, how many? And she's like, well, I kind of want him to keep respecting me and actually want to stay in the relationship. So she just says, no, I'm not going to answer. So we still don't know her body count. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to take a quick break here. But when we come back, we will jump into the last little bit here, and that's going to be kicking off with James and Tata. Okay, so let's talk James and Tata now. So she has been back for 4 months. And she only came back because he promised to bring Angel to the States. And basically he had to get that started, which is like, there shouldn't have to be an ultimatum for you to want to be with your husband. But anyway, Corona says that Angel is messy, which, yeah, she is. And Sarper says that she is so cute, but she cries too much. Talking about Tata. And I'm like, finally someone said it, because, yeah, she does cry too much. I don't know what her issue is with the tears. I know she says she doesn't know what her issue is with the tears, but I thought it was funny, Sarper. You're cute, but you cry too much. So Angel is here now, and they're like, do you, do you trust James? And she's like, I don't know him well, or know him. And they're like, well, why not? And she's like, do I have to? Like, I don't want to know him. And it's like, okay, this is your sister who you say you are so close with. Y'all did everything together. And you hate him so much that you don't even want to get to know him for the sake of your sister. It's just, I don't particularly understand that. So Shekinah asks, do you love your sister? And she's like, she doesn't seem to care. Or I think she was asking Tata this, and she's like, I do love my sister, but I do not want, or she's sorry, I'm confused. She said that you don't seem to care. She kind of said this to Angel, and Angel said that she does love her sister, but she doesn't want to know him. And James like, what did I do? And she straight up says, like, nothing. You didn't do anything. Which is like, okay, so, but that's not enough of a reason, which I'll get to. I have thoughts. So they're like, so where's she going to stay when she comes to the States? She's staying with you? And that would basically be what's happening. Corona asks if she's your best friend. Like, how can you not tell? Sorry, hold on. I'm confused here again. So Corona says, like, if she's your best friend, like, can you not tell her she's causing turmoil in your relationship? Which I think that is what Angel wants. I think she wants to cause turmoil, upheaval in her sister's relationship for selfish reasons, and we'll get to. And if someone says, like, what should I do? And Angel says, what should I do? And Shekinah comes back with, change your whole personality. I mean, she isn't wrong. She really isn't. Anyway, She kind of says, like, how can you let your sister disrespect your husband like that? Which, again, true. I think I said this on Sister Wives with Letitia last week. I would never ever allow a person to disrespect my husband or whoever, my significant other, in the way that she is disrespecting James. It just would not happen. I don't care who you are. They're like, maybe she needs to get married. Maybe she's jealous. I think she's jealous. I mean, she does come with a reason, kind of saying, oh yeah, like he didn't ask for my permission, which I'll talk about in a second, but he didn't get my permission, blah blah blah, which, okay, fine, maybe I understand, but I do think the real reason is because she's jealous. I do think that. Angel says, he took her away from me, which is, again, toxic behavior. She's not your property. She's her own person and should be able to get married to whomever. And honestly, in my honest opinion, if it was James, someone else, or even a person who is in Indonesia, she is still going to have a problem with whoever is with him or with her. So I think that's bullshit, personally. But Tata explains, in the family, because Angel is the older unwed sister, he had to ask her permission. He didn't, even though Tata told him to. Now, my thoughts and feelings about this is, if it is supposed to be happening within the family, I get it. He should have done it. But I also understand from his perspective, would it have made a difference? And I don't think it would have. If I don't know if this is cultural, the family, or what, but yeah, he didn't end up asking anything, obviously, because she had already spread lies at that point. He didn't feel comfortable with obviously talking to her because, again, he knew what was going to happen. She, did apologize, but then he said that I felt the animosity still, which, yeah, I can definitely understand that. He says, I just want an apology. Or she said, I think I just want an apology. And he says, what would me, asking would have, like, what would have been the benefit? And Tata says, you didn't try. What is the point of trying? Because trying wouldn't have gotten him the result that both parties wanted. It would have just been the same thing. Anyway, then we talk about the promises that James apparently made. Why did you say you wanted to have kids when you didn't want to have kids? And he's like, I didn't change, the world did. And it's just, again, that isn't good enough for someone who wants to have kids. You can't say, oh, I didn't change. You did change. You can't blame everything on the state of the world. And trust me, I get it. But you can't blame people have changed, because guess what? Really, people didn't change. The world didn't change. The disrespect, the issues, the racial issues, the people thinking others are different and whatever, those things have always been there. And unfortunately, things blew up after COVID. And especially for Asian people. It that's just and I understand it. But that isn't enough for me to not want to have kids. Listen, I am a Black woman. When Black people have been dealing with such oppressions lately. Not even lately, but always been there, but seems to have definitely been worse in the last decade or so with the things that have happened. And although it scares me as a Black person who is most likely going to have Black children, is going to have Black children, it, it worries me and scares me for my children, especially when you think about having, sons or whatnot. It definitely scares me. But I will be damned if I'm gonna let this dark world stop me from having kids. To me, although I get where he's coming from, I feel like he's making an excuse. But anyway, someone tells him that he lives in a fantasy land. Agreed. And he says or she says if he doesn't want to be a parent, I will stay. And she said that will be her, but, she would stay with him. And I said, she's better than me because I think there are people or things that are deal breakers. And I feel like something as big as whether or not you're going to have a family is a deal breaker. And yeah, like it would be just there's some things you just can't let go of, and that's one of them for me. And I think she doesn't maybe realize, or maybe she thinks she won't go there, but she's going to resent him for this. And she's always going to hold over his head that the one thing or one of the things she wanted in life, which was to be a mom, never happened because you were too concerned about the world changing. And she's always going to resent him for it. So I don't know. Good luck to them, I guess. But anyway, Angel's visa is in process. Tata would not be here until he had started, which I think I talked about before. And someone says, this is a cancer on your relationship, Angel potentially being here. But anyways, bye, Angel. I hope we never see you again. Let's take a break, Sean says. And Sarper decides to call Inky at this point, and he says, you said we're gonna hear you out, and we didn't get to hear you out because you walk. No, sorry, I'm ahead. I'm thinking about the second part of the tell. So he calls Inky, and he's like, say what you gotta say your piece. He says, I can understand you. You need to speak. And he makes a joke, and he's like, you know, it probably was so difficult to deal with her. And he's like, did you have COVID? She's small but deadly. And I'm like, okay. I think it's always going to be too soon to make COVID jokes. But anyways, Inky says he's going to speak his mind. Don't you worry, y'all. Okay. So he goes back to the green room, and Corona is just talking shit about Inky. And Sarper is like, you're just over here creating a team to attack him. And she says straight up, she's like, I can do something myself. Like, I don't need anybody here to do that for me. Anyway, we go back on the set, and now we're going to talk Corona and Inky. And Inky kind of says, speaking his mind. And he says, I was head over heels for her. Um, I wanted to, be with her in the States because obviously that's what he would have needed to do to be with her. And he says, this other person greeted me at the airport, kind of like this other person greeted her at the airport. And he says, she was kind of cold, not, you know, kind of cold towards him. And he's like, I suggested couples therapy. And she's like, no, he didn't, I did. But she whispers it. And Cronus, sorry, no. And He's like, I just left, never went back. We'll get more information on that. And, he said, we're talking K1 visa, but, I just, left. And says, that's what I have to say. I'm done with my piece. I'm out of here. And he just gets up and walks out. And we're like, and Corona says, that is some weak ass shit. And that's basically how we end this episode. But yeah, that is it for this episode. We are going to do the other toe so we can finish that up. I was hoping to get that out to you at the end of the day today, but that's probably going to be now Thursday. But we'll see how it goes. But anyways, that is it for this episode. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there. And you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.